I'm Bill Conklin with tips for a happier life. When I was a kid, I used to collect baseball cards, and I remember riding my bike down to Kenwood Pharmacy and picking up a 50-cent pack of Tops and opening them, right outside the store on the sidewalk, and sticking that stiff rectangular piece of gum in my mouth and having to chew it. I was often with friends, and we'd rifle through the cards to see which good ones we got, and so we had all sorts of theories about how we could get the good cards, as if it were something more than just random. I enjoyed looking at the cards and seeing the players' photographs on the front and what position they played, and sometimes I'd put them out on the ground as if they were on a baseball field, the pitchers on the pitching mound and the catchers, behind the plate, and everybody in their correct position, and play imaginary baseball games. And I'd get around to looking at the back too, and sometimes they'd have interesting facts on them, like this one says, Jim's brother Bill is a lineman with the NFL Buffalo Bills. So that was always kind of curious, and they were and are a reflection of the past, an enjoyable part of the past, where you get to think about your childhood and players who've now long since retired. But what I didn't know was that they were also predictive of the future. And I'm going to tell you how today. This gentleman right here on this baseball card, you see his picture? See how serious he looks? Even stoic, like he's up to something very, very important. Well, I'd like to point out that he's not smiling. Now, in contrast, let's take a look at this picture. This is Ken Griffey Sr. for those of you who are not familiar, that Ken Griffey Jr. actually had a father who played baseball. Ken Griffey Sr. played for the Reds, was part of the Big Red Machine, and if you look closely, you can see his great big smile. Now, a study at Wayne State University near Detroit in Michigan looked at baseball cards and studied different demographic variables of the players on those cards. And the curious thing that they discovered was that baseball players who were smiling on their cards lived an average of 7 years longer than players who were not smiling. Now, players who kind of had a half grin, they fell somewhere in the middle. Who would think that a smile could predict longevity? Well, they did these same things with yearbook pictures. People who smiled in their yearbook pictures, this was another study from University of California, Berkeley. People who were found to study in their yearbook pictures had more successful marriages, long-lasting and happier marriages, better career success, and a greater overall sense of well-being. The average adult smiles from 5 to 25 times in a day. But you know how often the average child smiles? 400 times in a day. Now that's a huge difference, and what it suggests is that when we're younger, our smiles become more natural and flow more naturally out of our play. But smiling also produces brain stimulation. It starts a cascade of natural feel-good chemicals, and these things help reduce stress in our body. They increase our immune function and decrease our blood pressure. It's also been shown that people who smile often are perceived as better looking and more likable and even more competent. So for example, smiling, and they've shown this in experiments, can make you automatically feel better. You can intentionally bring humor into your life and welcome all the benefits of smiling. And who knows, you might laugh a little bit too. So here's your tip for this week. Smile. Smile as often as you can. Look for reasons to smile. If you have to, go rent a funny movie or read a joke book. But smile and see if your world doesn't become a happier place. This is Bill Conklin with Tips for a Happier Life.